Get all the pits out. And then you can throw them in whole, or you can chop them up. And, you know, if I'm busy and I don't want to spend the time to do this, I just throw the olives in there and just chop them, eat on them, and spit the pits out myself. I'll chop them up a little bit and throw those in. Okay. Oh, don't want to get that pit in there. Okay, let's throw in some olives. Olives are extremely high in nutrition. They have healthy oils for the body. And if you like, you can throw in avocado. But if you throw in avocado, make sure you add it at the end after mixing and tossing the salad. Because if you throw them in there while you're tossing it, it'll just turn to a big gummy mess. And so if you do add avocado, add it afterwards. Now, what makes this a power salad? In addition to what's already in there, what really makes this a power salad, a densely nutritious salad, is the addition of sprouts. Now, these are alfalfa sprouts, and they have just been sprouted a little bit. You can take them like this and put them in a pie pan or a sprouter, and you can grow them up to full greens if you like. Usually I don't do that because alfalfa and green sprouts like that are so readily available, and they're so cheap anywhere that I just buy them in the store. But they're very easy to grow. It takes about 7 to 10 days for them to grow to full height greens. If I'm making my own, I'll just sprout them about like this, and I'll throw a bunch of those in there. Sprouts are extremely nutritious. They have a lot of life force in them because they're still growing. There's been a lot of scientific studies showing about the nutrient value of them and how they're exponentially increasing in nutritional value, because you got to figure you take a little tiny seed that has only a certain amount of potential energy in it, and you sprout it, and it gets a lot more mass and a lot more nutrition and a lot more potential energy in it. So I like alfalfa. I also like green peas. These are absolutely wonderful. They're nice and sweet, and you can sprout them. And all of these sprouts, you just put them in these containers, soak them overnight in water, drain them, and then keep them rinsed for a couple of days out on your kitchen counter. And then rinse them off 2-3 times a day. Really 3 times a day is ideal. And then on the final rinsing, when they get long enough, you just rinse them off, drain them, put them in your refrigerator, close them up, and then you can use them for several days. And so I keep several different containers of sprouts going like that. I've always got some sitting out growing, and I've always got some in the refrigerator to use. I also like throwing in some mung bean sprouts, and these are just done without any pressure. When you see those really big Chinese-style mung bean sprouts, those are grown under pressure. Sprouts are so incredibly good for you. If you eat them on a regular basis for a while, if you eat them every day for a while, you will notice a big difference in your energy levels and your vitality. Okay, these are adzuki sprouts, little red adzuki beans. You can get all of these in health food stores. I like using Arrowhead Mills brand a lot because they're very inexpensive. You can get a pound for $3 or $4. They're very easy to sprout. They're organic. They're easy to get. You can also buy stuff online, but these are already available. These are lentils, green lentils, very high in protein. These are wonderful, very dense nutrients. A salad like this, you eat a salad like this, you're going to get more protein than the average American gets in several days, I'll tell you. Now these are fenugreek. Fenugreek has a little bit bitter flavor, so you may not want to use gobs of them. You may not want to use any of them, but they're very, very good for cleansing the blood and detoxing the body. And I use a few of those. I like them. I generally don't like bitter stuff, but I do like the fenugreek. And so the next step is just to put a lovely dressing on it and toss it up, and you've got yourself a power salad. One of my all-time favorite foods is tabbouleh, and for many years I ate tabbouleh made with bulgur wheat, and I found that wheat is not healthy for you, particularly when it's crushed and ground up. So then I switched to making tabbouleh with steel-cut oats, which is healthier. It alkalizes the body, but still the carbohydrates fuel candida and yeast and funguses and things in the body. So I finally switched to making this dish with almonds, and turns out it's really good, and people really love this at potlucks as well. So I'm going to show you how to make almond tabbouleh. And the first thing that we do is we chop up some almonds. And I like doing this in a food processor. It makes it a lot faster. And what I do is I take 1.5 cups of dry almonds and I soak them overnight, at least 6 or 8 hours, till they plump up. They get nice and fat and soft, and they're much easier to digest that way. I do all my nuts that way. I soak all my nuts. So after they plump up, you have about 2 cups of soaked almonds. And I just throw those in a food processor. And then I'm going to pulse chop them. And I'll show you what that means. Because if you just throw them in here and turn it on, you're going to wind up with almond meal. And we want to have some texture to it. We want it to be nutty and crunchy. So we just, with the pulse button on the food processor, we just pulse chop it. Okay, and we get little almond bits about the size of grains of rice, and I'll show that to you. Get those back out of there. Okay. Turn that, get that last little bit. Okay. All right, now you see that? See that texture? It's nice. It's fluffy. It's light, and it's about about the size of grains of rice, maybe a little bit smaller. But this is going to be your bulgur wheat, basically. So we'll set that aside, and then we're going to take a big bowl, and we're going to chop up a whole bunch of stuff, and then we're going to add the almonds to it. And one of the main ingredients in tabbouleh is parsley, and we're going to take a big bunch of parsley. Actually, we're going to take several big bunches. We're going to take, I guess it'd be about 2 to 3 bunches of parsley that you would buy in the store. And we're just going to cut it up. And I usually cut the larger stems off of it, and I compost those. And then I just chop it up fine, but not too fine. You don't want to do this in a food processor because you want this to have some lightness and lift to it and some texture. You don't want it to be ground up into a fine, powder almost. You want this to have some texture. And so and if you did want to use the stems, you could cut them off and you could run them through a food processor and make them really fine. But I find that they make it kind of chewy and tough. And so this is a lot of parsley. And parsley is very detoxifying for the body. It's great for pulling out heavy metals from the body. It's a real blood purifier. And so I eat this stuff a lot. I love it. I juice it also. I do it in my green drink. I do it every day. I love it. Okay, I'm going to take that and throw it in my bowl. And I'll kind of push those stems off to the side. And we want the leaves. The leaves are nice and fluffy, not stuffy. Then we're going to add some diced tomatoes. And you can use 2 or 3 tomatoes. I usually dice a tomato. There's a lot of ways to dice a tomato. I just sometimes do it this way. I just cut it in half. Okay. And you can do, I like dicing it fairly small. Gets spread around better. My knife's getting dull. Okay. Put that in the parsley. Okay. Now we're going to take 2 medium cucumbers. You can use 2 medium cucumbers, or you can use 1 large European or Italian cucumber. I'm going to use the Italian just because I don't have to peel it. It's got a nice sweet skin on it. And I like to quarter these. And you may actually want to cut it into eighths. If you want small pieces, I'll do that. Just run them down lengthwise. Okay, let's stack them up and chop away. Now, with tabbouleh, it's important to chop the cucumber up pretty small. So I'm going to chop it even finer than this. You want it to blend with the texture of the parsley. That's pretty good. And if you want, you can chop them a little finer, but we'll go with that. Okay, slide that in. Alrighty. Now we're going to do we're going to do a half a medium onion. Cut the ends off. Compose that, cut that in half, and peel the skin off. Okay. Now you could do this in a food processor. You could do the cucumber in a food processor if you wanted to. You just have to pulse chop it and not get it too fine. But I got the knife out. I'll just go ahead and do this. Okay, so half an onion, and a lot of times what I do, because I'm too lazy to lift the board, I'll just take the bowl and do like this. Yeah, that's one of my favorite tricks. You have to get good with that or you start dumping food in the floor. But anyway, okay, so then we're going to take what is this? How many ounces is this? This is a 1 ounce bag of spearmint, okay? You don't want to use peppermint, that's too much, that's too strong a flavor. And you'll find, this is a typical bag you find in a grocery store. There's actually quite a lot of mint packed into this one. So I'm not sure if I'll use all of this. That's a lot more mint than usually in these. But we'll put a little bit off to the side. And actually, it's good to have a lot of mint in tabbouleh because it's about having mint. As mint is one of the main flavors in it. And I always strip the leaves off of the stems. Okay, I've got all that pulled off the stems, and I'm going to chop this up. Now, if you don't like mint, you can leave this out, or you can, put less of it in there. I think it really makes the dish. I mean, it's not really tabbouleh without the mint, because the mint is a major flavor in there. Some people think it tastes like toothpaste. I don't think it does. But it's really not tabbouleh without the mint. But you leave the mint out, then it's something else. Then you got a parsley salad. That's quite a bit of mint. I'd say that's probably 1 cup of chopped mint. That might be a little bit more. Alrighty. Now, let's see. We've got the mint, and let's give that a little toss, just to get some of this mixed up.